Welcome to Your Healing Era, a podcast for artists, creatives, healers, anyone living outside the traditional mold who's searching beyond the conventional forms of healing. Don't forget to subscribe, follow, and rate the podcast. Thanks for being here, and let's dive into today's episode. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Your Healing Era. Today's guest is Quinn, a musician, songwriter, producer, DJ, and creative entrepreneur based between New York and Oaxaca, Mexico. After spending much of his life immersed in music, touring, performing, producing, creating, Quinn has expanded his work beyond the stage and studio into building spaces that support creativity, connection, and personal exploration. He's the founder of El Triangulo, a creativity and retreat center in the Oaxacan coast of Mexico, featuring a world-class recording studio, lodging, and immersive experience designed to bring people together through art, nature, and self-discovery. Alongside his music projects, Quinn has explored the worlds of sound healing, wellness, community building, and also surfing, creating a life that blends artistic expression with deep appreciation for personal growth and adventure. In this conversation, hopefully we explore the evolution of a creative life, what happens when music intersects with healing. Yeah, Quinn, thanks so much for being here today. How are you? What's alive for you these days?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and talk about all of this. And what's alive for me these days? Presently, just really appreciating New York, and particularly upstate New York and the city. I have been in the city a bit. I've been down in Mexico, living there 8 months out of the year. So this past season, I was there. I didn't leave much in the past several years. I've been kind of coming and going back to New York City for something or up to Mexico City for something. But the last 8 months, I've been pretty much just in Mazunte. And so when I got back to New York, I was like, wow, a car wash, grass, like all of the things that are you just take for granted. I'm really appreciating, because I've been, Mazunte, what it's like there. It's an amazing place, but there's no grass. There's no freshly cut, freshly mowed lawn. There's no grocery stores with everything you could imagine, So I'm just appreciating that. That's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm just appreciating a change of scenery and how would you say that, the efficiency of this place, So
Yeah, it's quite luscious and rich. Also, especially this time of year, upstate. So
oh
beautiful.
yeah, I mean we're at the green is like just fully peak green or approaching. I don't know what the how it works, but it's as green and as lush as it can be here right now,
Cool. So for people who don't know, we first met at El Triangulo, which is the retreat center / recording studio that you built down there in Mazunte. So just for people who don't know, Mazunte is like a small town in the Oaxacan coast of Mexico. I kind of want to ask you, how did the whole idea for this place first emerge?
Yeah. So in 2007, I was living in New York City. I was very active playing music, performing in bands and DJing and nightlife, very, very much like fully in a New York City groove. And I had been there for a while. I had been in a relationship for a long time, and that relationship was ending, and I was feeling very just disconnected to myself, and I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to go traveling, I got to just go on an adventure. I had lived in Asia for a couple of years in the late 90s, and traveled all over the world, and I had been to lots of wild, remote places at that point in my life, and I was wanting to try to go somewhere new, and I had been out partying all night one night. And the next morning, the sun's up, and I'm hanging out with all these people. And one of them was my good friend, and a couple of the other people were some people that we had just met, who were from Mexico. And my good friend had lived in Oaxaca, and these Mexican guys, they all at the same time was like, "You should go to Oaxaca. You should go on the loop. There's a loop where people travel through Oaxaca. There's Puerto Escondido, there's Mazunte, there's Oaxaca City, of course. There's the mountains, San Jose del Pacifico, and all of that. So I decided to go on this trip. And on that trip, I passed through Mazunte, and I thought, wow, this place is really interesting. It reminded me of some places in Southeast Asia that I had been to that were like sort of these remote, bohemian, towns with lots of buildings and places with natural materials and, of course, on the ocean. And so then I went back in 2000 and I just passed through on that trip. I was just kind of like on a wander. I went to Puerto Escondido. I was like, I don't really like it. I went to Mazunte. I was like, wow, this is cool. But I was only there for like 4 days. It's coming up on 20 years ago. And then I went up to the mountains. I was like, wow, the mountains are incredible. And they're so close to the beach, such a huge difference. Then I went to Oaxaca City and I was just blown away. Like, what an amazing place. And so I really kind of fell in love with it. And I decided to go back. I was touring pretty heavily in those days. And so it took a couple years, until I finally got some time to go back, because this one band I was in at that particular time was really taking off, and so we were like really busy.
What band was
that? Band was called the Phenomenal Handclap Band, and so we were, we had a hit on the radio in the UK and around Europe, and so we started playing all the big festivals and touring, and playing, opening up for bigger acts, and also playing our own shows that were starting to be bigger and bigger. And yeah.
On your website, if people want to check out, there's a lot of cool videos, lots of cool playlists, lots of cool stuff that you did that people can check out, like if they get curious. But we'll get to it later.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I kind of whenever people meet me and they're like, oh, so I didn't really ever do anything under my own name. So if you type in Quinn Lamont Luke, you'll find a few things that I did over the last 6 or 7 years, just kind of for fun. But the music that I've done that was at a higher professional level is under lots of different names. So I put those playlists and videos together so I could prove that I've done something in my life.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean, but there's some really great playlists on there.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
So I went back in 2009, and I specifically to go to Mazunte. I was like, I want to go back to Mazunte, and I just want to check that place out. I want to just like see what it's all about. I didn't have any designs to figure out a life plan. I didn't have any thought about doing something meanthemeaningful. Nothing. I was just going to Mazunte. I was like, I want to see I want to go check that place out again. The long story, there's lots of details to it that I don't need to go into, but basically one night, went to bed one night, and I was staying in this little shack, and I was just asleep. And all of a sudden, this dog was barking right outside. The shack was just a board, There was a dog right outside the window and just started barking, row, 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 and just like shocked me. And I woke up suddenly, and it was 4 o'clock in the morning. It was dark, and I just was like, I should open a recording studio here. Like, I'll have a sound system, and I'll bring musicians down, and we'll work on music, and we'll like make a music school for kids, and we'll throw parties. And I was just the whole thing came to me like at once, like a download or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what it was, but it just out of nowhere, it was like, wow. And so I grabbed my journal and I just started writing all of these ideas and thoughts down. I still have that. And the sun was coming up, and that was it. Like I was like, okay, I'm doing this. And I never deviated from that vision, or that path. I just followed it, and it took, a long time.
Hey, I'm gonna pause for just a minute because I really gotta tell you about this. If you're feeling called to go deeper on this work, and if you're a woman who loves making music or exploring sound, writing songs, and expressing yourself creatively, I'm leading a retreat in Mexico this summer. It's an intimate, immersive week of embodied healing and creative expansion. We'll have a professional recording studio on site. We'll be writing, producing, dancing, practicing yoga, meditating, swimming in the ocean, all the things. So really living inside our bodies and inside our art. If this is calling you, all the details are below. We have limited spots and we have early bird pricing, so go check it out.
And if Mexico isn't happening for you right now, I also have a free nervous system regulation tool that you can explore at home in your own time. And if you're ready for something more structured, my full nervous system sorcery course is also available. Everything is linked below. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Wow, that's an amazing story. So the dog barked and woke you up, and you just had this download of all these ideas. It's amazing that you followed through, because I feel like I have this moment sometimes with like an idea and like the whole plan and the whole thing, but like to actually follow through and make it happen, it's incredible. So I know El Triangulo is like, would you say ecological? It's like, how do you explain? There's like gorgeous like outdoor showers and bathrooms, and like there's so much thought behind just building that place from nothing on that side of the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, that moment, that kind of, I like to call it a download. I don't know where, I'm not saying that it was a calling or a vision or anything like that. It's just a download. It could have been simply just a collection of lots of things that I had experienced and thought about that sort of congealed in my mind. If you just want to look at it from a scientific perspective, it could just be that it could be God communicating to me. Who knows? I don't know. I don't have a real strong need for it to be any of those, and I'm open to it being any of those.
Download works for me.
Yeah. So, but along the way. Well, actually, not even along the way. Before that, like going back to probably the early 2000s, a friend had given me a book called "The Party's Over," which is funny now to tell the story because it was a book at the time that had come out called "The Party's Over" by this author named Richard Heinberg or something like that, and it was basically at that time it was the most up to date assessment of peak oil, which is this concept that started in the 70s where people started projecting like, we're going to run out of oil. And when we run out of oil, this is how it's going to impact the world. There's going to be no more planes. There's going to be no more bananas flown from Mexico to the United States. There's going to be no more of this. There's going to be no more of that. There's going to be no more petroleum. Like just this, whole thing. And, I read that book in maybe 2003, and it really set me on a path of being hyper aware of peak oil, but also of sustainability. And I started studying permaculture and recycling and growing your own food and all that kind of stuff. I went through a whole journey that started with that. Now, ironically, peak oil is the least of our worries. We've got nuclear war and AI to contend with, and we're going to be fine. We got plenty of oil. We're not going to run out of oil at all. No problem with oil. No one's talking about peak oil anymore. But in those days, that was like, in my world, the most alarming, concerning thing. Like, what happens when we run out of oil? And now they're like, we're going to be fine. We got enough oil.
It's still a question. We will run out of it eventually.
We will, or maybe we'll discover other resources and we'll continue on. Who knows what's going to happen? Maybe we'll end up on Mars. But the point is that the concept of peak oil is like a thing now. But to answer your question about the outdoor showers and all of that, as this El Triangulo started to come into focus, a big part of what I wanted to do was to create an environment that was a model of sustainable living. Like we wanted to grow our own food. We wanted to capture rainwater for the natural pool. We wanted to be off grid. The original plan was to have El Triangulo be a studio that was fully powered by the sun. All of these kinds of things. And there still are a lot of, there's tons of elements of permaculture and ecological design throughout, using natural building materials, sustainable building practices, local materials, local architects, all of it, all of that kind of thing. The reality of powering the studio of the scale that we have just with the sun is totally doable, but doesn't actually make the most sense. At some point I am going to get solar and just feed electricity back to the grid, and so we're going to be at a zero, net zero, all of that kind of stuff, But I get ultimately
that's incredible.
Yeah, and that's not a hard thing to do. It just costs $15,000, and I've got 15,000 things to spend $15,000 on. So I'm not. That's not the top priority at the moment. But what I think we did achieve is giving people an experience with the dry toilets, for example. Like, not water. Actually, the biggest concern down there is water. And the biggest drain for water are toilets and showers. And so, we're using all dry toilets, like we cut down tremendously on that. But I guess what I'm getting at is that what I think we did succeed at is giving people an experience of being in nature and feeling the rhythm of being in a place like Mazunte without tons of air conditioning and sliding glass doors and microwaves, and like we have succeeded at that. And we can definitely go. There's another level that we can take the place to be fully, in line with ecological and sustainable practices and visions. So.
Yeah, that's incredible. I remember, waking up very early because at 6 a.m., like all the animals start to have their morning shenanigans.
Yep.
It's kind of hard but I love that because then you just go to sleep earlier and you just wake up earlier and it's so nice.
Yeah.
So I've experienced El Triangulo as a guest. And this summer I'll be bringing the retreat there. And what do you think folks can expect to get from signing up to any retreat at El Triangulo, or even doing their own solo artist residency, which is also something that you offer?
Yeah, so I mean, I think that what's unique about El Triangulo and why musicians and, well, I mean, anybody really should come. What we can bring, what we offer, is a place to slow down, connect with nature in a beautiful environment. I mean, we call it barefoot luxury. It's very nice. I worked for quite a while in the luxury world with art and design, and I traveled globally to go to the most high-end art and design fairs for a company and stayed in the finest hotels and restaurants and all that kind of stuff. And what I loved about that is just what an incredible experience it is to stay in a place that's so thoughtfully designed with such high quality materials. And that's what we've created. But in a place like Mazunte, that's not like over the top, makes you feel uncomfortable. It just feels like, wow, this is really set up nicely. So number one, you're in nature, but you have like a beautiful environment to be in, and you have all of the resources it's very intentionally designed to gather people together. Like it's a place that's specifically laid out for groups to come together and for people to be together, whether it's having some sort of a workshop that's in the personal exploration realm of meditation or yoga or Reiki or whatever, or if it's just a group of musicians hanging out, or if it's just a family on vacation. Those are the kind of three types of clients we have. It's either people that are doing retreats, or people that are doing of some kind of personal development, or it's a group of musicians that are working on an album, or it's a family or a group of friends. We had a big group of friends that were a bunch of remote workers that were traveling together, and they stayed there. So, what we're going to do with you, Noga, is like an intersection of all of that. Where it's a retreat with music, and so it's a place to gather people together to explore creativity in nature. And that's what it can also be. An individual can come there and do that and intersect. There's always people coming and going there when there aren't groups scheduled. So it's always fun for me to see how, the cross-pollination. And that's something that I loved a lot when I was younger and traveling in remote areas, is you'd stay in some hostel or some guest house and you'd interact with other people, that
Right.
are also on some kind of a journey, not a personal journey, but just traveling. And then you meet them and then you connect and you have these great experiences. And so I wanted to kind of replicate that, which is why we built El Triangulo the way it is, as opposed to it being a hotel with just a hallway with private rooms with air-conditioned closed doors. It's designed for people to be interacting.
Right, because there's also this beautiful, huge common space where lots of different kinds of events have happened there. Like it could be
Yeah.
beautiful for like a yoga session, like a circle, a meditation. We had jam sessions out there. We had full-on parties. You've hosted various live music, interactive events, and also culinary events. And it's just like such a gorgeous space.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been great. We've had weddings there. We've had dance parties where people are going for it. We've had full, deep healing types of circles and groups. We've had all kinds of stuff going through there. It's been nice to see it used in many different ways.
That's awesome. So if people want to see that, you could go to I'll link below everything at the end, but just the website of El Triangulo, just to see these gorgeous photos of the place where you could get a room, you could do your own solo thing, you could just use it. We didn't talk about the recording studio too. You could just get a room basically and go fuck around in the studio.
Yeah. Yep.
You're a surfer too. You're it's like Mazunte gives you both the mountains and the jungly vibes, and also you're right by the ocean. Do you find that space is like supportive or conducive for you, like creatively? Was the intention?
I mean, Mazunte is a real power spot. You have Punta Cometa, you have it's one of the southernmost points in Mexico. Just geographically where it is, there's all the stuff about ley lines, which I'm not going to go into that much because I don't know that much about it, but people talk about it all the time. But so it's just a really powerful, beautiful, magical spot. And so for sure that impacts. I mean, that's one of the, Mazunte is, there's tons of healing stuff going on there. And there's a reason for that. It's not just because, it's cheap or it's easy. It's not that cheap. It's not that easy to get to anymore, but it's, but I think that there's a magic to the place for sure. And, we're not the only ones to see that. There's tons of people that are doing things there, and that people that have been going there for a while. And so, I would say that the rhythm of the village and of the town is really mellow. So that really influences how people experience, how people show up for their own creativity, and the ocean and the natural surroundings definitely influence things. I always wish that people would come for longer, because it takes at least a few days to adjust to being there.
Right.
I wish that people would come for a minimum of 10 days, but I mean, a week is good. 5 days, people come for a 5-day retreat, and it's it works, but I think it's even more impactful when you stretch it out to 7 or 10 or a month.
I was there for a couple of weeks, and I wish I would go for a whole month. It's so cool. Yeah, we would just wake up in the morning, walk down to the ocean, walk back up, work on some music, eat together and stuff. Or finish a day in the studio and then go to the ocean. It's just it's such a cool rhythm just to be able to do all of that.
Yeah.
You also DJ. I know you're about to go on tour. Can I ask you about that? Yeah. That's exciting. Looks really cool, exotic places. You're about to make a lot of people dance.
Yeah, there's with that group, the Phenomenal Handclap Band, and then kind of related groups to that period from about 2008 to 2015. I was touring pretty extensively with my own music and with, like I said, some side projects that were related to that and other people that I was playing with. So I was in Europe a lot. I even was based in London a few times for extended stays because there'd be festivals that'd be happening throughout the summer, and they would just put us up in a house in London for a month or 2 months, and we would just bounce around Europe. So I got to know a lot of people there and DJ'd also a lot in different clubs in Portugal and Spain and England and Germany and Holland and Croatia. And there was a festival that we used to play a lot in Croatia that has become, Croatia's now become a real destination for dance music, summer dance music, shenanigans like Ibiza. And it was really started largely by these people. They were the first ones to really do stuff over there. And so anyway, I've remained connected to all those people. And periodically, now over the last 10 years, I just haven't been that active. I've been focusing on El Triangulo. I have a son, and I've been making bits of music here and there. But my rule has just been, if somebody invites me to do something, then I just say yes. And in this case, the people that started the festivals in Croatia, they also opened a brewery and a music venue in Zagreb, which is the capital of Croatia, and it's their 10-year anniversary. you know. And so they said, would you come and perform at our thing and do your live thing and also DJ? And so they invited me to do that, and the economics of that are favorable. So then I can call up other people that I've worked with before and say, hey, can I do a gig here or there in London and Ibiza and whatever, and I stitched, before you know it, I stitched together a little tour. So it's just a fun thing to do, to go over and play some music and connect with people that I know. And so yeah, this trip I'm going to be playing live with a little looping pedal, where I kind of recreate songs that I've done that a lot of the places I'm going, people know those songs, and I do versions of them live. And then I also DJ. So each place I'm in, London and Ibiza and Zagreb and Margate, I'm going to do a live gig and a DJ gig in each place. So.
Oh, that's really cool. I saw a video of you doing the looping stuff, I think, on your website. Mm-hmm. Really cool.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's fun. I use the same looping pedal that I started working with in 2003. So over 20 years.
Quinn, you have a voice.
Oh, thanks.
I was like,
yeah, I love to sing.
Yeah.
Thank you. I mean, I haven't been singing. I'm sad to say I haven't been singing, and singing has been something I've done my whole life since I was a little kid. You know, I started singing in church when I think the first time I sang in church, I was probably like my son's age, like 10 or 11. Like singing a solo, singing How Great Thou Art to like 300 people. You know, I started singing at that age in front of big groups. So I've done it my whole life, and I haven't been doing it much lately. So I'm looking forward I'm waiting for like the younger kids to discover some of my older music and be like, we gotta get that guy to come and play, you know, like I'm approaching that. I'm probably already there, actually. And to go and sing, because you know what, especially nowadays, the music industry has changed so much. You know, I came up in the era where getting your music released was connected to getting signed to a record label. You know, getting your music on the radio, getting your demo tape to a record label. The record label would sign you, would put together a budget to put you in a studio, and then hope that the music would get on the radio. You know, that's where I came up. That was in the 90s. That was still very much a reality. It wasn't until the early 2000s where it started to change, and people got Pro Tools, and people started working on computers, and then it changed. But I mean, even in the early 2000s, that was still like the way that it worked. Those days are over. You know, there is no radio anymore. I mean, it exists, but no one cares about it. It doesn't influence. So like, I guess my point is like, for me as an artist, I'm still making music. I have a new album that I'm going to put out. You know, I should have sent that to you, because I made the first record. It's like an EP. It's like a 6-song EP, but it's actually a collection of my looping performances that I recorded. I made a recording of it, and a couple of songs that are more produced. But you know, I have that, and like, what do I do? I put it on Spotify and pay someone thousands of dollars to try to get Spin to write a review. Like I don't even know what to do anymore.
The industry has changed so much. I also made a record a few months ago, currently mixing actually one or more songs on it. I actually wrote when I was in Mazunte at El Triangulo.
Cool.
Very inspired by the place, or just being there. I'm excited to also put it out, but I haven't even started thinking, how does one put out a record right now? And
I know like the basic idea. I mean, I have a record label. I've put out music that I've recorded and music that I produced for other artists, and I put out an album for an artist that I'm a big fan of, and then I just got overwhelmed with just running El Triangulo that I had to just put the record business to the side, you know. And,
what's the label?
It's called El Triangulo Records. I mean, if you go on the website, there is a tab at the top that says, well, that's in Spanish, but let me put it in English. It just says label. You click on label, and you can see that, you know, there's a record that I produced for my friend Charlie Hall, who's the drummer in the War on Drugs. There's a record that I put out myself. There's a record for Eugene Tambourine, who's an artist that I'm a big fan of. So, you know, I started. I'm gonna do that again at some point, but you know, the amount of money that I spent trying to promote some of those releases, and the return on it didn't make sense. It's like, why am I paying this
Sadly.
person?
Yeah.
Sadly, it's like I'm literally paying thousands and thousands of dollars to PR people and distribution. I didn't really pay for that, but different, mastering this and that, and you do all the stuff, and then it's on Spotify and you get 50,000 plays, and it's like, what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
it's better just to put the record out and put it on Bandcamp and Spotify yourself, and put it on social media, I guess, and try to hope that something happens. But
Yeah. Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I think that there is a strategy that's probably connected to El Triangulo somehow, and the property and the whole experience, that could help to elevate the music and the record
Yeah,
label.
you can start putting out music that people make at El Triangulo.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
when I was
exactly.
there, it was just like a group of us that we all just came into this like retreat series thing, like artist residency thing. You guys called the Warm Hum. That's why I first came there. And it was just like a bunch of us who showed up with like different backgrounds, and we ended up working on quite a few tracks in the studio. That it's all taking a while because we're a bunch of hippies, everyone in a different part of the world doing a bunch of different things. But I think some of those tracks are going to come out in some way, shape, or form eventually. That would be cool if like stuff like that happens there could come out.
I mean, honestly, as you know, I'm still on the chat from all of those participants in the Warm Hum. And, so I'm seeing all of the mixes and the edits and the back and forth and the conversation about releasing it. And every time I see it, I'm thinking to myself, I should be releasing this.
Maybe help us out.
I mean, I haven't. I every time I see this, like, I should do this, but it's like I know what it takes to do it properly. I know how much time it takes. I'm just waiting to get myself to a place and get myself connected to AI enough to where I can do it once and show it to AI exactly what I do, and then say, do this for all of the future releases. I want you, because I manually have to go into platforms, and I have a distributor. I have all of the stuff. I know how to do it. I know how long it takes. I have to get the UPC and the IPC, and I have to get this, and I have to get that, and I have to get this information. There's all the stuff that I have to do that I can teach an AI how to do.
True, yeah, worth exploring. Was it just you? Was there anyone else like part of that label?
No, it's just me. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Is that I just like that? That's why it's like I could do it. I know how to do it. I did all of those releases.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, you see all of those releases that are on the website there. There's the Charlie record, there's my record, there's the Eugenia Tambourine record, there's something else. And I did that. I went through and I uploaded it to the distributor platform, which then gets it out. Then you have to get this special request for iTunes and that special request for Spotify. You have to do this. And it's just like, it's like a full-time job,
Yep. Yeah.
And so I just need to get, that's it.
Yeah. But that's cool. That's cool just to think about. Keep me posted if
I mean, but I would love to. I mean,
the
music that you guys did, Ocean Moon, that's a great track. Olivia's voice sounds incredible. Your bass playing is incredible. As you know, the reason why the Warm Hum happened is because I was already a huge fan of Peter Power's productions. So you get Peter Power producing, you get a world-class bassist with tons of professional experience and great taste, and then you get Olivia, who's a total novice, but just a natural, and you get the tracks that came out of it. And then, of course, everyone else's contributions. I mean, everybody did great stuff,
Yeah.
I would love to. I mean, it makes perfect sense for El Triangulo to release that type of experience. I'm just not currently in the place where I can do it.
Yeah.
So I'm letting everyone else figure it out.
No, yeah, thanks for explaining. For people listening, like what we're talking about is the music, the tracks that we came up with as a group that had like a bunch of people that have totally different like music experience or no experience at all, or just like someone was a poet, someone wanted to get more into her voice, like some people were professional musicians. It's so incredible what came out of people. Olivia came up with like her spoken word and her poem. She wrote this like magical song, and then we had like full-on jam session in the studio, but then we had these like super mellow acoustic jam sessions upstairs outside in the big space. And there's just so many ways that we were just connecting, and then and stuff came up, and It's really cool. I'm just saying that if anyone is considering coming on for an experience like that, either solo or in a group, I just highly recommend.
I was going to say, or they could come down to the Wild Frequency Retreat, August, what is it?
August, what is it? I think 8th to 15th or something?
August 8th through the 16th,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure there'll be plenty of opportunities for you to plug that.
Put the links to all of those things in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
Quinn, is there something we're missing? Something you want me to ask you about?
No, I think we covered a lot of great stuff. And, I think the way I would sum it all up is that what I'm trying to do in general, which is gather people together in nature to explore creativity and personal exploration. That's my mission statement, That's my why. That's what I'm all about, and the Warm Hum was exactly that. That was the first time that I was actively involved in organizing something like that, because the first couple of years of El Triangulo was just me, counting rolls of toilet paper and bottles of Windex and how many sheets do we need and how many people, when are we going to clean it? It's like I was just trying to get the place operational, so inviting Peter Power to lead a group of people through what ended up being almost 3 weeks of doing exactly what I just said was amazing. And then you got to be there, and then we got to connect, and then now we're going to do something else, a similar type of experience that you're doing specifically for women. And so, that's it. I mean, it's what that's what it's all about. That's what I'm here for, and that's what El Triangulo is here for. So, come on down.
Amazing. So thanks so much for creating that space. It's like such a dream place to just be and create.
Thank you. It's a gift.
Yeah, truly is.
It's a gift for me. It's a gift. Like, for me to do it has been like what I've received from it has been definitely the most difficult experience of my life, most challenging, most terrifying, and the most amazing. So anybody that's thinking about following your dreams, be ready for that, both of them, because that's what's gonna. I mean, maybe not. Maybe everyone will have a different experience, but that's been my experience. But it's worth it,
Totally worth it. Thanks so much for just coming on today to chat about all of that. Really great to have you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for tuning in. If this episode resonated, send it to a friend, share it in your stories, or take a moment to rate the podcast and subscribe. It genuinely helps this little baby podcast grow organically and reach to the people that it needs to reach. I really appreciate every comment and every review. And as always, if you want to go deeper, my course, retreat, and free resources are all linked below. This is your healing era. Take care, and I'll see you next time.